first up, Casino, and again, we're just going through this because we have fun
Uh,
today. We're going fast. With your power rankings, you actually told me that your first team is a mystery. So I don't even know who your number 10 team is. And because you didn't tell me, I made the rest of these videos without putting a team in that spot. So it'll always remain a mystery unless you listen to this part right now where Casino says his number 10 team is.
the Chargers.
Oh, really? So you would take them over what? Let me look at the rest of your
Oh,
teams
yeah.
right now. You would take them over I can't remember, over the Texans who are not on your power ranking.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Explain.
Yeah, so I talked about it last time we did the podcast. Or maybe it was in person, I don't remember. I like the relationship with Justin Herbert and Harbaugh. I like it a lot. I finally feel like it's starting to click there, and I like that style of football. I like it where they are hungry, they are bitter, they are ground and pound kind of football. Good clock situation. I like to see this team continue to rise. And honestly, it's solely because I like the combination between Harbaugh and Justin Herbert is why I'm putting them at 10 because realistically, I think after 9, I'm just like confused. It's
Yeah.
just there's so much going on. And yeah, I did take the Texans out of my top 10. I did not like how they played last game. I 0%. Um, they've been wavering every single game. I s- they didn't show me that they can be a strong playoff team. And
Well,
we've been
then you factor
questioning
in
that for
injuries and stuff like that.
we've been
Yeah.
questioning that for a while and now I'm done. I'm done.
Uh
You know, if they rattle off like 4 wins in a row, I'll change my mind probably. But right now, they had their chance for half a season. I'm just done. So, I'm
Yeah.
done.
And we talked about Burrow having a great season, Justin Herbert having a sneaky good season, 65% completion percentage, 1,700 yards, 10 touchdown, 1 interception.
Yeah,
And again, that's in an offense where he never really has to throw the ball. Their offense right now in the league, 26th in total offense, but their defense, number 5 in the nation. So,
and
fifth
I
ranked
think it's
defense.
going to continue to the trend where they're gonna figure out that offense late, and they're gonna start racking some wins here.
Yeah, I do too, especially the past couple weeks we've seen Justin Herbert put on, dare I say, master classes in how to play quarterback. And again, is it Jim or John? I think it's Jim. Jim
Just
Harbaugh
call him Harbaugh.
played. Yeah, Harbaugh played quarterback in the league randomly. Like on YouTube, they'll just start auto playing uh videos randomly. This game from like the early 90s came on where it was the Colts versus somebody and Harbaugh was the quarterback of it. Just the most random video ever to be in my algorithm, but that says a lot about my algorithm. Next up, Casino. So number 10 is the Chargers. You have your number 9 team as the Green Bay Packers.
I still like them. I s I they've had a really tough schedule this season, and they're still playing really good. It shows here that their strength of schedule to date is 14th, and their remaining is 13th. Yet, I think they've done an outstanding job to be a wild card team. I'm just concerned with Love's health. He is he, he really is just a glass house playing in what's the arena for the bullfighting? I don't remember. He's a whole bunch of glass houses in the running of the bulls. I don't know. And poor analogy.
A bull in
Poor
a china shop.
there. I was trying to make something of that sort, but the opposite.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm concerned for him. But I think that they'll get it done to at least make a playoff spot. Will they win a playoff game like they did last year? We'll see. But I like them. Love just needs to stay healthy and keep showing that he can play well. Because they've done pretty good with a tough schedule and a remaining schedule as well.
Also, both your teams right now that you have in your top 10, not my top 10.
That's
Neither of
fine.
them.
That's fine.
So this is why we do it. But next up, Casino, your number 8 pick is I mean, you see him right on my beanie. You have my Philadelphia Eagles as your number 8 team. Why?
I like what Saquon Barkley is doing. They have got that running game going, and that's just going to open up the game for Jalen Hurts, especially to throw down to Brown and Smith. That's really going to open up his game a lot. Um, I finally feel like this team is starting to click. It's taken half the season, more than half the season if you go into last season. But we'll see how they continue down the line. I do think that I don't think they're going to win the division. I don't, but I do think that it'll be by like a game, two at most, but by a game, I think. But I do have them making the playoffs, and potentially, if things continue trending in the direction they're trending, for them to make a really strong push to at least make the conference finals.
And maybe we can, I mean, let's just watch it again, Casino.
The
How,
Saquon Barkley run.
how
This
does
is
he
great. Well, like
just
the
how?
I don't know. The the double spin move was phenomenal.
Uh,
It's all choppy, but here
I
we go.
don't.
Look, that
It's
that
just
move right there was, I mean, the backwards jump over was phenomenal, but I liked how he shook the first defender, and then that spin move he did on the second defender was just dirty. Like, that's what you see in, like, video games, like, where the AI just, like, jumps straight and you just make
yeah.
your guy go "Whoop," and, like, the game freezes for a minute. That's what he did with that spin move, and then, yeah, just first in history.
I
First
mean,
in history.
I said it on Tuesday where I was like, that might be one of the top 3 best plays I've ever seen in my life. Now, in retrospect, I think it's the best football play I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and then
I
we were
would
talking about it
honestly
at the bar we were talking about it at the bar that night, with all of our we had a guys' night, and our guys were like, "Oh, that wasn't that impressive," and we're like, "You fucking kidding me?"
it was like, I've seen you guys play pool looking less athletic than he does on hurdles. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we have friends who are just like, I mean, that was cool. Now, again, these friends barely watch football, so it's like, I don't think you understand what you're watching. He did a backwards hurdle after doing like 5 different Madden moves. You can't press buttons fast enough in Madden to get that output. Like, the game won't let you do that. But yeah, we'll trust me, Casino. We'll be talking about the Eagles when we get to my power ranking. So, next up,
Okay. You have them at 1, it's cool.
I mean, in terms of best plays I've ever seen, they're number 1 with a bullet. But next up, your number, what are we on 7 right now? Your
I
number
don't remember.
7 team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We
Yeah, it's
know
kinda
we know this pains you.
it does, and you know what? I have nothing against the Steelers. Like, I really don't. Um, God damn it. Yeah, I really have nothing against the Steelers. But those in year 1 of our podcast, he had that guy, and man, did he get under my skin.
He left a depression. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
he
one
did.
way
I
to
mean, it
say
was
it.
on YouTube, but you know what? It's Russell Wilson for me. And it's not because the Patriots beat Russell Wilson in the Super Bowl. What's going on here?
I'm
Jesus.
changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's not that Russell Wilson lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and and they had to go against them quite often. It was, I just don't like Russell Wilson as a person, kind of situation. And I was hoping that after he left Denver, that kind of stayed the trend where he just wasn't ready for football anymore. But man, he looks good. He looks good, and I feel bad for Justin Fields because Justin Fields did a good job in Pitt. But I really, it really opens up the passing game for this team, and I think that unlocks them into a new level. This is my concern, though. They do have a strength of schedule remaining. They have the hardest strength of schedule remaining.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I don't know.
we shall see what
We
happens here.
on the solo episode on Tuesday, I went through the Bears remaining schedule because I was like, I don't know if the Bears are good or maybe the Bears aren't good. The Bears remaining schedule is absolutely brutal. So the
They
Steelers
have
and Bears.
they have the third hardest is what it's showing right now.
Oh Lord, who's the top 5 of
Um,
hardest remaining schedules?
Broncos are at 4, Bears were at 3, Bengals are at 5. Oh, oof, that's gonna be tough for them. Who's 2? Who's 2? Obviously, because I just told you 1 is Pitt. Um, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the Patriots because it's probably the Patriots. Because that's just no, they have the 12th hardest. Talk about something while I figure this out.
All right. Well, you just said you don't like Russell
Oh, the
Wilson.
Cleveland Browns. Yeah, they're closing
Oh,
up
that's
shop.
yeah.
Oh.
But also all your teams so far that you have picked all have top 11 defenses in the league right now. So as I've always said about you, Casino, you love the D. You love the D. You love good D. Um,
Moving on.
next up, your number 6 team, Casino, is the first team that has no good D, and that is the Baltimore Ravens at number 6. Their defense currently ranked number 21st in the league. So,
Yeah.
but again, we talked about it last episode. Their offense is just so next level crazy that it kind of like, again, if they're going to win every game 41-10, then why does defense matter?
Right. And so here's my pitch for why the Ravens are going to be okay is currently they have played the 6th hardest strength schedule to date. I like this. I found a really good breakdown of all of this. It has strength of schedule to date, strength of schedule remaining, projected win total, chance to make the playoffs, win the division, conference, and Super Bowl. It's really good.
Oh,
Yeah,
send me that
it's
link.
I will send you that link. It's really good. Um, but yeah, so they've had the 6th hardest. They have the ninth remaining hardest schedule. They're still projected to win their division. I think it's solely because that offense is so good. Um, and I really think that if they can just hold their own a little, like all you need is one good defensive game or just a bad offensive game by the other team when you get to the playoffs, and that's it. So I'm still going to have them there. They keep dropping just a little bit every time, but they are a really good team. And you know, if they can just keep throwing up, 30, 35 points plus a game, you have a shot of winning the game.
Well, also, this is an interesting thing I realized about this team when I was looking for who I was going to put in my rankings, and that is that the Ravens currently have the number 1 rushing defense in the league, where they are only allowing 75.7 yards per carry, or I'm sorry, per game. The Vikings are second by almost 6 yards more they are allowing per game. So right now, Ravens have the best rushing defense, and they are dead last in the league in passing defense. So that is why currently at the moment they are, what did I say? They're 21st in the league in total defense.
Yeah.
But again, that is kind of a mirage number because they are the best team in the league against the running game. So yes, you can pass on them, but again, they're going to make you so one dimensional where you basically have to pass on them. And then we've seen this a bunch this season where they get up to a lead so early in the game that all you can do is pass against them to try to kind of come
Right.
back. So,
Exactly.
yes,
So
their defense is bad, but it's not as bad as people are making it out to
yeah,
be.
and so they're gonna stay in my top 10, as long as they keep putting up big offensive numbers, even if they're losing games, I'll keep them in my top 10 because hey, it's gonna have to break on somebody where, they're just not gonna have a good offensive day. It just
Also,
happens.
we spoke about Madden. Lamar Jackson is literally putting up
Oh, this
creating
is his best. This
character.
might be his best season
And
in
and he's already won MVP, what, 3 times? 2
2
times?
for 2 I know for sure. But, yeah, like, this is legitimately might be his best season in the NFL, and that's
Uh,
scary.
68% completion percentage, 2,400 yards, 20 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions,
Woo.
and then 505 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. So
Wow.
he's gonna
And those rushing
potentially
touchdowns would be way more if they did not have their boy,
yeah, Derrick
Derrick
Henry has
Henry.
11.
King
So
Henry, dude, King Henry, which little tap off to King Henry. He did reach, he had 2 touchdowns, 101 rushing touchdowns on his career. Like, hats off to you, bro. Like, hats off to you. Like,
uh
King Henry for a reason.
Yeah, so, Lamar Jackson is a two-time MVP,
Yeah, two.
and he was the first e or the second ever player to win it unanimously the first time.
Wow.
So, that's crazy, and also, if he keeps playing like this, he's going to finish with probably 4,000 yards passing, 40 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards, maybe like 10 rushing touchdowns. It's gonna
In
be
like 5 or 6 interceptions, just call it that.
yeah, so he's gonna finish with 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 1,000 yards rushing, and 10 rushing touchdowns. Like, that's gonna be one of the best stat lines we've ever seen from any player in any position ever. That's gonna be and then when he wins the
It's dumb.
MVP, again, I don't know how you can look at this Ravens team and be like, yeah, but the defense. And then it's like, yeah, but look at the numbers of the defense. It's not that bad. And again, we're probably prisoners of that too, but not right now. I've seen the error of our ways. Next up, Casino, your number 5 pick is your uh Commanders, your
I
new
like
favorite
it.
team. I'm saying you like them right now more than the Patriots in terms of fandom.
Oh, no, I am come on now. I am a die-hard Pats fan, you know this, shut up. They're my team, but I am excited for what Washington's been doing. Um, However, their strength of schedule today has been 31st, and the remaining is 17. So they got a little bit of an uptick here, but I think they are the team to win that division. Sorry, buddy. I like their new signing for a cornerback. We'll see how that plays out when he gets back on the field and see how healthy he is, with that hamstring injury. But I like them a lot. I like them a lot. They're playing smart football and they just keep moving in the right direction. That's best way to put it. Is they just keep moving in the right direction. They're winning the games that they need to win. Um, yes, they got a tougher schedule coming up. We'll see how that plays out, but they're only trending positive. So we will see how that plays out, and that's all I got to say on them. I'm excited about this team, and again, they're already doing way better than everybody expected. Except for me. I said they would make the playoffs, and Jaden Daniels would be MVP, rookie of the year.
Rookie of the
Sorry.
year. Yeah.
But hey, I'm gonna continue with that. I'm sticking with that, and it's trending. It's trending in the right direction.
Much like how we should always just pick the Chiefs to be our Super Bowl pick at the beginning of the year, we should always just pick Lamar Jackson to be league MVP.
Always.
We'd be right most of the time, and then people would be like, "Oh my god, these guys are great." It considering right now they just go, "Oh my god, those guys are great." Dot dot dot. Even though they get everything wrong,
Yeah.
but what we didn't get wrong is our power rankings because next up, Casino, you have the Buffalo Bills.
Ooh, them Bills. Ooh, them Bills. I really think with that Amari Cooper pickup, they're gonna go off. They do have a tougher schedule coming in for the remainder. Um, but I just you see him when you watch him play. Josh Allen has turned it into a whole new gear. He looks like Josh Allen of his first two really good seasons where everybody was like, "Oh, they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're going to win the Super Bowl." He
Yeah.
feels like that again. He feels like that again. He's fun to watch. His team is fun to watch. They're definitely going to win the division. So the worst they're going to be is fourth seeding. And do they have a shot? I think they have a legitimate shot
Yeah.
of beating the Chiefs.
And
I
again,
think they have a legitimate shot of beating the Chiefs. I think out of all the teams right now coming out of the AFC, you have the Baltimore, yes, but their defense scares me, right? Expect over the top, not their running defense, as you alluded to, but over the top. And Patrick Mahomes getting D Hop, that's going to be a big factor. But Buffalo, they've got a good defense. They got a really, really good offense. Bringing in somebody that's got some pretty sure hands, pretty sure, not great hands. Amari Cooper. Um, just saying that. Never been a big Amari Cooper fan, mostly because he played for Dallas. But anyway, um, him coming on in is going to help Josh Allen, where he's not going to just have to run the ball every game. So I like this. I like them where they're at 5. That's where it is, right? 5, no 4.
no,
Um,
4. Yeah.
I have them at 4. Uh, yeah, I think they have a legitimate shot of beating the Chiefs this year.
And again, they are right at the cutoff of what I consider to be a Super Bowl caliber winning defense, which is 15th, right? We always talk, or like 15, 16. That's where like you're just at the edge where I think you can win a Super Bowl. Right now, the Bills are 15th against the run and 16th against the pass. So they are like the razor's edge of just about out of it with their defense, but still hanging on. And yeah, Josh Allen again, he would be getting hyped up much more if Jaden Daniels wasn't doing what he was doing, if Lamar and Burrow weren't doing what they were doing, because
Fucking
Josh
Burrow.
Allen right
I want
now,
Burrow to make the playoffs so bad.
Josh Allen right now, 64% completion percentage, 2,001 yards, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like he's again right there in the top 5 of best quarterbacks currently. Like how good your quarterback is playing right now, he's in the top 5 without question. But next up, Casino,
My
your
power rankings are taking a while. Whew.
I mean, they always do. These are our power rankings. But next up, Casino, your number 3 team is the or no, I'm sorry, your number 2 team. You had Bills at 3, Lions at 2. This is yeah, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. No, we're missing something in here.
Yeah.
Something's not adding up. But these are your teams. You had
Packers,
number 10 Packers,
10,
Steelers.
Packers, Eagles, Steelers, Ravens, Commanders, Bills. Huh?
Yeah, this is not making sense. But anyways, just go. Just go. We'll
Oh, I only put 9. Ha!
you
That's why.
fool. You fool. But so these
So
are
move
know
all these up one. Move all
uh
these up one. And then I guess for my 11th pick, I don't know.
no, for your 10th pick.
For my 10th pick.
You
My bad. I thought I counted it right earlier. Apparently,
number
apparently
10 number
I'm an
10 is
idiot.
such a mystery it doesn't even exist. Number 10 is such a mystery. So these are technically Casino's top 9
Atlanta Falcons.
as
Throw
your
the
number 10.
Falcons in there.
Okay. So we have 10, then the Chargers, Packers, Eagles, Steelers, Ravens, Commanders, Bills, Lions.
Yeah.
You
My
had a
bad.
week off, Casino, to think about this, and here we are.
Fumbled that pretty bad. Anyway, so yeah, as we can move on, moving them all up here. Moving them all up here.
So your number 2 is the Detroit Lions.
Yes.
Why do you
but
like the Lions?
Because they're playing the best football in the league right now. And the only reason they're not number 1 is because they're not undefeated.
Yes.
Only reason. They are the best team in football, hands down. That's my call. Yep, that's my call. And I know people are like, oh, well, the Chiefs, they just got better with D-Hop. They got a great defense. All very true. All very true. And Patrick Mahomes just figures out how to win. You know, he's got that skill, and he does. He's got that legitimate skill where he can just squeak by and he does enough to win. Like he's great at it. He's great at it. But
Yeah.
and as you talked about when we were watching the game, how the Chiefs number 1 is Travis Kelce just always seems to be open.
Yeah.
Do people just not go to him? Like
I
just double team Travis Kelce.
It
Double team.
sounds so easy, but when you're watching the game, you're like, how is there no one 10 yards around him? Never. In any game ever. Never. And then it'll be like, okay, we'll show his route. And then his route will literally be like, he runs 5 yards forward and turns left. It's not like he's doing this crazy. We've seen the plays where he's like running around and looking and like he's got the defender looking, but most of the times he just does a regular route. I don't understand it, but go on.
Yeah.
Uh, and
That's pretty much it. But the
well,
Lions look great. I love the camaraderie with that team. They just look like a team that's poised to win the Super Bowl. Like all of my favorite teams are teams that gel together and you could see it.
yeah,
Like you can see it. They are a team through and through. There's no controversy in the locker room. Like they want to win. They want to play for each other. They want to win. They want to win for their coach, which is a huge thing. And that coach wants to be the best for them. Like it has all the writing on the wall for a successful football team and a Super Bowl winning team. I mean, look at it with the Chiefs. How they've done so well lately. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they're best buds. They're doing commercials together. They're friends.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
they're so tight. So
Well,
Yeah.
also, has a quarterback trade ever worked out for both guys like better than it has for the Lions and or for Stafford and Goff? I
No,
mean,
not at all. Like,
Stafford won a Super Bowl.
it was perfect.
Goff now goes to Detroit and he's completing 75% of his passes, which is
He should win.
insane.
They will win a Super Bowl shortly. I just like they just have to. They
Yeah,
just have
they
to. Like,
have
this doesn't feel like Josh Allen being close many times or the Ravens being close one time. Like, this is the best team put together I have seen in a long time.
yeah. And Jared Goff right now, as I just said, 75% completion percentage, 18 40 in terms of yards, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And then they have Gibbs and Montgomery, aka Sonic and Knuckles, which is what their running back duo name is, who just both have 7 rushing touchdowns, both one Montgomery has 500, Gibbs has 650. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, Williams as the receiving group. I agree with you. Their defense is ferocious. They knock the shit out of whoever they're playing.
Yeah, and they're undefeated on the road right now. They're 4-0 on the road.
Well, man, yeah, I agree with you. They're one of the best teams, if not one of the best put together teams we've seen in a hot minute. And then your number one pick, Casino. I mean, we alluded to it. It has to be them.
Mm,
Your
yeah,
number
I don't
one
even wanna
team
talk about it
is the Chiefs, and of course, we have to put them hurdling over the Lions to be that number one team. Yeah, it's just, I mean,
that's a good image.
what more can be said about the Chiefs that hasn't already been said? They're
I have nothing
undefeated.
more to say about it.
They piss Casino off, which I love. It's
Yeah,
so funny. I think my new
because it's
favorite pastime is watching a Chiefs game with Casino. You're just so annoyed by them, which brings me nothing but joy.
I was a Patriot, because I'm a Patriot fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Then, of course, we've talked about all the quarterback positions, and Patrick Mahomes right now, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So he finally has more touchdowns than interceptions. 70% completion percentage, and then 2,000 yards passing. So, again, he cuts back on the interceptions and turnovers. He'll be doing fine, but also they're undefeated, so it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. And that right there is Casino's power ranking. And you know what? We'll just call that the Only Sports Podcast power rankings because
You s
I didn't do a power ranking, Casino. I didn't do one. Instead, I did a Super Bowl bubble. Okay, let's play the video for the Super Bowl bubble, and
Is
here
this
we go.
SpongeBob? Is this SpongeBob?
No, it's the Super Bowl bubble. New segment on this show. I'm bringing in Casino, and I've done something really unique here. I've taken the teams that I would rank 1 through 10 and put them in a bubble. So and these are the teams that I think could possibly win the Super Bowl. So that's why it's called the Super Bowl bubble. Okay. Not to be confused with the power ranking because they're not ranked, they're in bubbles. So the 10th team I put in my Super Bowl bubble,
Is
Casino.
this why we weren't able to start an hour earlier, because you just put these teams in bubbles?
Well, no, I had to, regardless, I would have had to do this much like I did with yours. But my first up, Casino, similar to your number 10 team, except people can see it. It is the Atlanta Falcons.
Hey, that's the same with mine. Congrats.
Yeah.
Great job.
But I'm not hiding it from the audience because I am putting the Atlanta Falcons at number 10 in the bubble. I wish I could get these video clips to just play continually. I don't know why they keep stopping. That needs to be a thing I look into.
Yeah, well, do we hey, in people who want to be an unpaid intern for the Only Sports
Yeah.
Podcast, please message us.
It would save so much time. But number 10 right now is the Atlanta Falcons. And there was a hot minute there, Casino, where we were wondering, will the Tampa Bay Bucks be able to upseat the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South, even though at the beginning of the season we said they were basically a lock to win the NFC South. And that window has closed because the Atlanta Falcons now are 2.5 games ahead of anybody in their division.
It's
They
done.
they are 6-3. They are playing honestly better than a lot of teams in the league, better than anyone in their division, and they're not injury prone like the Buccaneers are, even though I like how the Bucks are playing. But again, injuries catch up to you, and then their schedule, they're playing a first place schedule because they finished in first place last year. So when it comes to the Falcons, you have Kirk Cousins, and then you also have their defense, which is why they're not higher. They're 20th in the league right now. They are 20th against the pass, and I just saw them 23rd against the run. So right out of my self set parameters of what I think a Super Bowl caliber defense looks like, I think unless they shape up and get just uh jump, 6 or 7 teams ahead of them defensively, I don't think they have a real shot at winning the Super Bowl. But
I don't know, man. Kirk Cousins, he's turned into primetime Cousins.
yeah,
He's not longer no longer like that sad primetime Cousins. He is primetime.
well, it
He's the new
also
primetime.
uh, fi- finally, for the past 2 weeks, it's been like Kyle Pitts is looking good. Bijan Robinson is looking good. And then Drake London has looked good all season. Kirk Cousins has looked good all season. So finally, all their pieces are actually playing well and up to what their expectations were when they came into the league or came into this team. Kirk Cousins,
When they made it
69% completion
together.
percentage. Yeah, 23, 20, 2,300 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So they have Mooney, they have London. I like their offense. It's really when it comes down to their defense is the question for me. Next up, Casino, my number 9 team. Maybe you've heard of them. They are, and again, they've fallen compared to the last couple of, or no, they've risen. I'm sorry, I was thinking of a different team. My number 9 team is the Pittsburgh Steelers,
Okay.
Casino. I'm still holding out on the dangerousness of the Pittsburgh Steelers because you said that Russell Wilson, you don't like him because he is weird. I don't like him because I feel so dangerous when I'm around him. So it is
That was boo.
a
Boo
long way
this
to go for
man.
that joke. But the Steelers right now, they do look a little rejuvenated, at least on offense, with now having I wouldn't say dynamic passing attack, but I would say a comparable passing attack. I mean, Russell Wilson has come in there, had a couple good games. Their defense is still top 10 in the league in almost everything. So their defense is, you know, not as good as it's been in the past. They're still 21st in the league in terms of passing, but I'm just talking overall defense.
And
They're
that's gonna get better with Russ in there.
yeah. With their, I do think they're going into the stretch of games on their schedule where maybe we see them fall back a little, but I still do think right now they have the sixth highest defense in the league, or sixth total defense in the league. Their offense, again, 29th in league in passing, but that was just because Justin Fields was in there running around. Now with Russell Wilson, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how confident I am in their weapons outside of George Pickens, but we'll see. Again, that's why they're only 9. I think right now I like them slightly more than the Falcons just for that defense. But if these two teams played against each other, I think I would still be picking
Now, the reason I have
Falcons.
him
You know,
three more in front of you is just because I doubt him so much that the more I doubt him, the higher they're gonna be, and that's just gonna be the case.
yeah, that's just life. The more doubt you give, the more they just stick it in your face. But next up, Casino, a team that fell out of your top 10, didn't quite fall out of my top 10, but they did fall out of my top 5. I am, of course, talking about the Houston Texans. I have them at number 8.
Boo.
I still think that CJ Stroud is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but obviously injuries make you look worse than when you really
He is
are.
one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He was my pick for MVP this year, and he's not having a bad season.
Yeah.
The issue with that team is they just don't seem to be clicking. That team just
Yeah.
does not seem to be a cohesive unit.
And again, Tank Dell has missed games. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is out for the season. I do really think the addition of Joe Mixon in the offseason has gave them another weapon offensively, obviously, because he's outperforming basically everybody in the AFC except for Derrick Henry. But, you know, Derrick Henry's the leading rusher in the NFL, so he's outperforming literally everybody but the leading rusher. And then I think there's a couple guys ahead of him. But yeah, Joe Mixon looks great. CJ Stroud, again, he's had some hit or misses this season. He's not as consistently great as he was last season, but we talk about it every week. You look at the stats and the ratings of this team compared to every other team in the league. They started top 5, then they fell to top 6, then they fell to top 7. Now this week they're 8th, ninth, and 10th in offense, defense, passing, and rushing. So again, still top 10 in everything, but they started top 5 and they're losing some weird games. They're winning games close. They're just incrementally each week getting a little bit worse. And again, we're only in week 10. So by the time we
No,
get
I
to the
think this. I
playoffs,
think their last week loss was
yeah.
a huge loss.
Well, that's also why they fell so much in my power rankings, is also because you lose to the Jets team. Now, again, I take Thursday games with a grain of salt because Thursday games are weird and the rest and all that kind of stuff. But again, you lose to that Jets team when everybody was like, oh, Jets are done. And Houston, again, top 5 in the league and everything. And then you lose to the Jets, and it's just weird. Again, incrementally worse each week, just a little bit worse each week. And that's why they keep falling just a little bit on my power rankings. But next up, Casino, my number 7 team, as we are going into the bubbles, I wish I could put them higher, but I couldn't. And that is my Philadelphia Eagles. I put it number 7. Now, again, the game against the Jaguars on paper looks much closer than it is because the entire momentum of that game swung on a fumble that, by every conceivable metric, every rule, every video camera, every person who watched it, was not only not a fumble, but it wasn't even close to being a fumble. And yet the refs were the only ones on the field who allowed the fumble and then the run back for it to be a touchdown, where all of a sudden the Eagles are playing prevent defense to get the game over. And then within 2 minutes, all of a sudden the Jaguars have scored a touchdown and then scored another touchdown. And then it kind of became like panic mode. But the first half of that game, they literally allowed the Jaguars to have 47 yards of total offense.
Yeah, I thought I was having to drive over to make sure you're okay, calm you
Dude,
down,
I like,
take all the sharp things away from you.
well, also, everyone has made the exact right point, which is if Saquon Barkley did not fumble that football and decided to stand up and keep running, the refs would have blown him dead. So if he would have got up and started running, the play would have been blown dead. But he's laying on the ground and the ball comes up. A Jaguars player picks it up and runs it back into the end zone, not blown dead at any point and ruled a touchdown, even after review. One of the dumbest calls I've ever seen in my life. Legitimately, if it happened against anybody else's team, and somebody online, I believe it was like on a Reddit forum or something, made a great point where they said it takes a lot for people to say the Eagles were wronged. Like, everybody agreeing with that the Eagles got screwed on a play tells you everything you need to know, because there's not a team online people hate more than the Eagles. So for
That's true.
everyone to agree the Eagles got screwed on that tells you everything you need to know. But outside of that, the opposite of the Texans, each week the Eagles are just getting a little bit better. Each week they look like a little more cohesive. They're getting back all their players. This week's game, they're getting back Dallas Goedert. They're getting healthier. They're getting more familiar with the new offense and defensive coordinator, and they're just looking a little bit better. There came a great clip out where Hurts was the one who told the offensive coordinator, like, the defense is doing this. Let's get a deep ball to Smitty. And then the next play is that great Devontae Smith touchdown where, again, if the Saquon Barkley hurdle wouldn't have happened in this same game, that would be the play everybody was talking about. I really like their young corners. I think their defense is melding together. Again, I wanted to move them up higher, but I need them to see this kind of performance from them against a higher caliber opponent. Next up, I really do think they're neck and neck, and I'm terrified to play them in the first of two games we play against them this season, and that is the Washington Commanders, Casino. I think right now the Commanders are slightly better, but I like
Owner.
I like the Eagles' defense better, and I do think that the offensive weapons the Eagles have is better than any of the Washington weapons they have. But again, the Eagles never really play well against Washington, regardless of the team they have. They always give up one game to them a season, it feels like, even in the, you know, 20 to 25 years I've been watching this Eagles team. So Jaden Daniels, 72% completion percentage, 2,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So again, on when you watch him in games, he looks like he plays better than his stats indicate, right? Like when you're watching him, you're like, that's a superstar, but then there's a bunch of guys better, but he has the Lamar Jackson effect without the touchdowns, which is he's rushed for almost 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he's a dual threat quarterback. Again, I am terrified every time he takes a hit, but that is, yeah, just one of those
Yeah, he
things.
says that he doesn't want to run. That's the best part. Is like he wants to be a pocket quarterback.
Yeah, but that also is one of the things that scares me about the Commanders. I don't know how good their offensive line is. I don't know how good their offensive weapons are outside of McLaurin. So, yeah, also their Commanders defense right now, right on the fringes at number 14 in total defense. So, I would pick the if these two teams played and they're gonna in a week or two, I don't really know who I'm picking, even though I think on paper the Eagles are better. But when you watch the games, I think the Commanders are better. So I don't know. Next up, my number what is that? What are we at right now? My number 5 pick is the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know what the Vikings did to where now they're off everybody's like power rankings. They are still, if you look at the division standings right now, they're still only a game behind the Detroit Lions at 6-2. So they're
That's who
one
I forgot.
yeah, they're one
That's who I
game
forgot. That's who I forgot to put in here.
they're one game worse than the what everybody talks about as potentially the best team in the league outside of the Chiefs. So, and again, when these two teams played, it was a 3-point game. It's not like they got annihilated by them. When you
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
who I forgot to put on my power rankings. That's it, right there.
The Minnesota Vikings right now, Sam Darnold, again, Sam Darnold. Everyone is, and I know he's a rookie, but everybody talks about Jaden Daniels like he's putting up Sam Darnold numbers right now, which is 70% completion percentage, 1,900 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Again, they have Jefferson, they have Addison, they have Aaron Jones, who feels like he's at peak Packers performance on this Vikings team. So they have a great running back. They have 2 great wide receivers. They're getting Hawkinson back eventually, right? And then their defense is a top 12 defense in the league right now. I believe they are, or they're top 16. So again, a little worse defensively than the Commanders, a little better offensively than the Commanders, and nobody talks about them. I don't know where this Vikings fall off happened. They're 6-2. Like it's like, and again, they were within 3 points of the Detroit Lions. So the disrespect for the Vikings is
Yeah, I
driving me
forgot,
crazy,
like,
Casino.
so disrespectful. I forgot to put him on my power rankings.
Exactly, because I feel like, and that's the perfect encapsulation of what I'm talking about. I literally feel like they're just forgotten, right? And
Yeah,
it's like,
I
what did
forgot
they
about him.
do to get forgotten? Next up, my number 14 Casino. I'm putting the Buffalo Bills at number 4. Basically for all the reasons you talked about. I do think Josh Allen is playing out of his mind right now, which that was the big question mark when he lost Diggs and he lost what is it? His other two targets whose names are escaping me right now, Gabe Davis. And then all of a sudden he got Amari Cooper, another, again, I think a very good wide receiver who kind of fell off the past couple of years based on who he was playing with. But he comes in and it feels like the Bills' passing attack is rejuvenated. Josh Allen's great, like he always is. And again, with these top three teams, it's kind of like, or with these top four teams, I should say, everybody under the Bills, it's like kind of just can they get to the playoffs and make some magic happen? With the Bills and the teams above them, it's like you're basically playing the regular season to get to the postseason. Like it doesn't really matter what you do in the regular season. It's all about seeding. So when it comes,
Seeds.
yeah, when it comes to the Bills, like it all comes down to can they get to the big one in the Super Bowl? Next up, Casino, my number 3 team. I am picking the team that beat them, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. So they are my number 3 team. Again, we've talked about the Ravens to death. They are great offensively. Their defense, even we talked about it, is on last week's show. We're fooled by the numbers. Their defense is not as bad as it looks. And again, a lot of teams are passing on them to try to keep up. Up and wrong one. A lot of them are trying to just pass all over them to catch up from getting absolutely blown out by the best running back currently in the league, the best quarterback and MVP frontrunner in the league, and one of the best organizations of our lifetime when it comes to football. The Ravens are always run well, they're always in contention. And again, Lamar Jackson, he just needs one off season to get over the hump. My number 2 team, Casino. Here's where we start making waves. The second best team in the NFL
Is the
the
Chiefs.
Kansas
I
City
I
Chiefs.
agree. I agree, but I can't. They are undefeated.
Yeah, so I have the Ravens and then I have Chiefs at number 2. And again, it's because every game you watch with the Chiefs, their defense is elite. They are a bend don't break defense of the highest order. They just don't let anybody score. And then Patrick Mahomes finally looks like he's catching up a little to what we expected him all to be. But yeah, he finally has uh uh Kelsey back to what Kelsey has always looked like. Again, he's the most targeted figure on the field in any game ever, and it feels like he's always open. I don't know how he's the only weapon and constantly open. It just drives me crazy. And finally, Casino, my number 1 pick, as you would have guessed, the Detroit Lions. And it's basically from what you just said. They are one of the most well put together teams that we've seen in a long time. I mean, really, since we've seen from those old Patriot teams, right? Where the one team that almost went
The Moss
undefeated.
year, yeah.
Yeah, where it's just like, how is this team this good and have this many weapons and is playing with the same salary cap as everybody else? So you know what, Casino? When it comes to the Detroit Lions, and people are going to say, as you just said, where it's like, oh, the Detroit Lions can't be the best because the what is it? Because the Chiefs are undefeated and all that kind of stuff. I am tired of saying that the Chiefs are better than the Lions because they're not. Everybody who watches the games knows that the Lions are the best team in the league. And this is all I have to say. Are the Lions the best team in the NFL? Yes. I really think that.
I do. And I'm tired of pretending it's not.
I'm tired of pretending
so
it's not
good.
true.
That's so good.
So there you have it. If I can get my cursor over here. This is my final power rankings, Casino. Here's the Super Bowl bubble. As I said, the 4 teams in the bubble are the ones who I think right now at this moment could legitimately win the Super Bowl. And everybody else, maybe their bubble gets popped before they can make it to the Super Bowl. But there we
I
have
like
it.
that you put the Bills in it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I do. I think those 4 teams, and then I think when you get outside of those 4 teams, then you have to start making some yeah, but arguments, right? Like, yeah, but this and yeah, but that. So that was our power rankings and our Super Bowl bubble, Casino.